the NFL has just blessed the Baltimore Ravens with their strength of schedule. There are big implications coming from this, and we're going to break it down in this video today. What is going on, everyone? My name is Sam Stewart. You're watching Ravens Digest. Hope everyone is doing well out there today. I want to remind everyone before we start the video to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. How often do you have to be one of the first 100 subscribers of a YouTube channel? We're going to have all Ravens coverage throughout this offseason, trade rumors, reports, and then once we get into the season, we're going to have all your game previews and post-game content as well. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The Ravens last year had the second hardest strength of schedule in the NFL, and they still managed to have a great regular season. So while ninth hardest regular season schedule this upcoming year might not seem great, it's actually a lot better than last year. And if the Ravens play like they could and like they should, and how we've seen them play last year, they should do even better considering their strength of schedule. Although there are some other factors to consider, which we will talk about in this video. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. The Ravens have the ninth toughest schedule in the league when it measured by the cumulative record of their opponents in 2024. Baltimore's 2025 opponents went 154 and 135 last season, which is a .533 winning percentage. The Ravens' AFC North rivals also have it tough. The Pittsburgh Steelers come in at number 10, and the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals are number 13 and number 14, respectively. Now, there isn't much parity in terms of strength of schedule difference here in the division. At the end of the day, football is about winning your division first and foremost before we start thinking about number one seeds. For the thing about Super Bowls and everything like that, it's a goal that the Ravens need to win the division. Obviously, the Super Bowl is down the road, but winning this division is going to be a key to doing that, securing home field advantage as we move into the playoffs, hopefully this year for the Ravens. Now, something to consider here is the teams are in about the same strength of schedule. How are we going to react to the teams that we face this year? Twice, that being, of course, the teams in our division. The Bengals started off very slow last year, but actually had a pretty miraculous comeback to put themselves even in a position to make the playoffs last year. So it's going to be interesting to see them. And like I said, it's going to be interesting with all these teams because they have the same strength of schedule. Now, the other team in this division that had a quite interesting offseason was the Pittsburgh Steelers. They picked up DK Metcalf, which is going to test the Ravens' new, hopefully very well revamped secondary. No more George Pickens, but DK Metcalf is a great threat down the field, and it's going to be a challenge to keep him under containment. But the Steelers did not manage to pick up a quarterback this year, and we know that Lamar has struggled with the Steelers in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Steelers maintain that dominance, even though I feel like they are severely lacking, and I would think most people agree at that quarterback spot. A team we're not really worried about in the division right now is the Cleveland Browns, unless Shador really pops off, which I do not see happening. I feel like he dropped that late in the draft for a reason. Into day 3 of the draft, it's unlikely that Cleveland does anything this year. Their quarterback situation is a mess, and overall, they're just not the team that's going to take this division this year on any side of the ball, offense, defense, special teams. They don't have the pieces to get it done all around. So let's go ahead and look again at this article from Ryan. I want to shout him out on Ravens.com for providing these quotes from this article about the Ravens' strength of schedule. Part of why Baltimore's schedule looks so daunting is because the Ravens and the rest of the AFC North played the entire NFC North. The NFC North was the best division in football last year with a cumulative record of 45 and 23. Who will be the king of the North this season? Now, if you didn't know this, the NFL switches off the divisions that play to give fans a chance to see teams in different cities. Now, the NFC North is going to be revamped this year, and we've already seen dominance from a team like the Lions. We've already seen dominance from a team like the Vikings. It's going to be very difficult to play these teams win. And one team that gets brought up in this next quote by Mink we might not even think about is the Chicago Bears. So let's go ahead and look at this last quote I have from Mink here today. There's a reason to believe the Ravens' 2025 schedule may be tougher than it looks on paper. The Chicago Bears, who went 5-12 last year, have made significant offseason additions, and the New England Patriots, 4-13, and New York Jets, 5-12, ushered in new eras with head coaching changes and young quarterbacks on the rise. Now, personally, AFC North rival, the Steelers, let Justin Fields go, and he's been signed to the Jets. I personally think Justin Fields looked pretty good for the Steelers last year. They didn't really give him a lot of chances to it was that weird thing people always try to do where you have multiple quarterbacks and never ends up working out. It didn't work out for the Steelers, but I think the Jets are actually going to do better with Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that pans off halfway through the year. I feel like we'll know very quickly. Now, is there a chance the Steelers could still sign Rodgers? Sure. That's one point I did want to make about the last segment. But if we think about a team like the Bears and the Jets, that could improve. There could be sneaky teams. And, it all goes back. We talk about strength of schedule, this and that, and what teams in the offseason. But at the end of the day, it's NFL football, and it's hard to win games. A guy like Justin Fields is going to be able to step up a coaching change with the Bears. Obviously, we saw Caleb Williams have some good games early in the year last year. But I want to know what everyone thinks about the possibility of having an easier schedule this year. For me, is it an idea that you want to be tested? Is it an idea that you want to have in a harder schedule? Or is it a thing that it's okay that we're the ninth schedule this year? It's not really a parity in the division. All the teams are around that same spot. I want to know, your thoughts. Make sure you hit the comments to describe what you think about the Ravens' strength of schedule this year. Now, the thing is, the Ravens have gone deep in the playoffs the past few years. And, this is a core that's aging. Derrick Henry's got a 2-year extension. Lamar, people are starting to talk about him. Is he going to be able to ever make a Super Bowl? Are we going to see these things happen? But here's the thing. I think that, Mink brings up something very interesting here. I want to take a look at that first quote we looked at one more time. And the Ravens AFC North rivals have it tough, but I think in a way it's going to come down to those matchups. So Lamar has struggled against the Steelers, and we saw that great playoff game last year. So I think for me, it's not really about the strength of skill. It's can the Ravens handle those division games? Can the Ravens take care of business against the Bengals and the Steelers? Now, a point I brought up earlier, will Aaron Rodgers make an impact on the Steelers if he somehow joins them? If some shape or form, Mason Rudolph doesn't really put fear in the hearts of, but the Steelers have had that quarterback situation, and it's been the defense that's given Lamar fits. But if we add Aaron Rodgers, I don't believe there's reason to be concerned. For the Ravens this year, it's going to be taking on business, handling business, and standing on business. Okay. You get these ideas of the Super Bowl in your head. That's why I want to mention this video, and I believe instead of strategies, it's going to be the goal number one to win the division. You get so caught up in the Super Bowl, you get so caught up in, can we get over the hump or the Chiefs, the Bills? You got to win the division first. You've got to win those big games that the Ravens actually have struggled with, in the case of the Steelers. You've got to win those games. A NFL regular season is more than an AFC championship and a Super Bowl. The regular season is a completely different animal, and you need to focus on the regular season while it's at hand. Let's not get overzealous. Each season needs to be played up to those points. You don't get to automatically advance right back to the AFC championship. You need to have a fresh start, clear mind, and go ahead and start. And the Ravens even though they have that strength of schedule that's not as hard this year, they need to really focus, and Ravens fans need to be locked in on winning that division, because that is going to be the path to the Super Bowl that is easiest for the Ravens. Let me know what you think about a strength of schedule in the comments. Like I said, let me know. Are you glad the strength of schedule is a little bit easier this year, or are you a little bit worried? You wish it was up to the level it was last year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Keep it right here on Ravens Digest. We'll see you next time.